CRiiiME is a show where I, Rich Slaton, read a true story about lawbreakers.
And I, John Shefsky, promise to uphold the law of riff.
That's the only law you uphold. In general, you know what? In general, you're a lawbreaker, which makes this a perfect show for you.
Am I really?
Yeah, you're a lawbreaker. You're a criminal.
Oh.
You're all the things that I love. And most importantly, you are something I love almost as much as playing the music.
Oh, that was great improving, dude. I knew you were going there.
CRiiiME is the show that starts now.
Oh, like right now?
Oh, yeah, do your line.
Okay. Each week, Rich reads a real crime story. I don't know a word that rhymes with story.
And my homie John always has the hot riff. He really loves it when you send...
Don't send anything
them
to me. Don't you dare.
CRiiiMEpodcast@gmail.com.
Don't you send
Label
anything.
it John Shefsky. He loves them. Make sure the lighting's really good. What's up, criminals? Welcome back. We had a fantastic weekend at CRiiiME Live 2.
CRiiiME Live 2 was amazing.
Holy crap. Thanks to everyone for coming out. It was a great show. Thanks to everyone who helped out with the show.
Kyle
Yeah.
Ray helped us so much.
Kyle and Al Balmani.
Al Balmani was right there. He was there for us all along.
Yeah, seriously.
Aaron, man.
Yeah, thank you everyone who helped out, everyone
Joel,
who came. It
Emily
was so
at the
much
Comedy
fun.
Store.
We can't wait to do it again. We'll be letting you guys know when that's coming probably this fall. And everything went great. And we also had a very special appearance from our good friend Joe Erle at C3 Risk and Insurance Services. Guys, sometimes bad things happen.
Oh, yeah, it does
And
very often.
for that, you need coverage. You need insurance. You need car insurance, audio insurance, auto insurance, dick insurance.
Audio insurance?
Yeah. In case you listen to a pod,
the sounds
your
aren't right.
earbuds go out and Apple won't replace them because they're dick holes.
That's why we don't use Apple stuff.
That's why you go to our good friend Joe Erle at C3 Risk and Insurance Services, c3insurance.com/Joe. Call him up, 619-233-8000. Tell him that my buddy Shefsky sent you.
He loves me.
And he'll hook you
He
up
just
with a
simply loves me.
little gift card if you get a policy. We also want to thank our very good friend D. Ketelson from A Piece That Remains.
You guys, sometimes people in your life die, and it's unexpected, and it's depressing, and it's a big moment. But you can kind of make things better by going and having D create art from your loved one, and that way they'll be immortalized forever, like a statue.
She'll take the cremated ashes of your dead loved one or pet, mix those into art, and make a great painting or a little trinket that you keep with you. She also does
Wallet clips, money clips, necklaces,
all that stuff. She does not related to cremation art as well. So check her out. A Piece That Remains, a PEACE that remains.com.
And still a piece remains.
And last but not least, go ahead and jump on that Patreon, patreon.com/CRiiiMEpod, CRiiiMEPOD.
Thank you, our faithful crime
Join that sticker of the month club. But enough of all these bill paying.
But enough.
Today we have a fantastic guest. You may have seen him on the NBC sitcom Undateable. More importantly, right now he has a fantastic podcast on his way called The First Episode Podcast. Every episode, our guest and his friend John DeWalt, who are lifelong friends, they get together. And they go over their years. They've been doing podcasts for 20 years, trying to find the best one, and they keep missing the mark. But they are releasing to you their archives, their secret files of hundreds of different first attempts at podcasts. So check out the First Episode Podcast at First Episode Pod on all those socials. But luckily for you, we have him right here, right now. Put your virtual hands together for Rick Glassman.
Yeah.
I think in 80-something episodes, you're the first guest to join in on his own introduction, and that made me very happy.
Awesome.
That's really great.
Congrats on 80 eps, guys.
Thanks.
We're doing it.
We're doing a new podcast called The First 80 Episodes.
Yeah. It's where we just released the first 80 episodes of our podcast over again.
We always say it's our 80th episode.
Yeah. So I know it seems like this is kind of a weird meeting now.
It's completely different than ours.
Yeah.
Yours will just be a podcast.
Yeah, but
you guys. Yeah.
We released the 80th episode of all the different podcasts that we've done, of the hundreds of podcasts that we've done.
It seems like a missed mark. There's going to be a lot of stuff that people won't understand not having heard the first 79.
That's the appeal of it, Rick.
Yeah. Jumping into the deep end, having no clue or context.
Right? That's fun.
Yeah, like we're already friends, and the listeners are like, "Oh, I should have a relationship or rapport with these people."
I think it's a great idea. I'm just saying it's different. You don't have to. Yeah, it's not weird at all. It's cool.
It's not as cool as the hundreds of podcast episodes that you've attempted.
Yeah, we have good stuff. When John first visited me at college, we have a lot of stuff just archiving from our entire life, and it's cool to finally do something with it. First time we had sex.
I know that's a big one too.
Yeah.
That's a life-changing moment for a young man and his best friend.
Didn't change my life really. It wasn't like like an American Pie. Like it was a cool thing to have.
Okay.
Bigger, my first job, getting my license.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
McDonald's.
Dope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but
not
I've
as
heard of
big
it,
as the
man.
first time you have sex with your friend.
Yeah, I mean, Shefsky and I, that's our, oddly enough, that's our 80th episode, is the first time we had sex.
Cool.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
I consider
That must have been a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. So you can see the weird, sort of the feeling in the room where you're like, wow, something's changed between these two.
and the smell in the room.
Yeah. Well, that's just because there's no air conditioning downstairs
It's dank in here.
in this podcast dungeon.
It's stanky and danky.
Richard Turpin
Dick Turp.
was born in September of 1705 in Hempstead, Essex, England.
1705. I'm
Yeah,
liking
dude,
this.
we're going back, dude. We're
old
going
stories.
back in the past. He was the fifth of 6 children. His dad, John, worked as a butcher and part-time innkeeper. Richard and John. Now, that's an interesting thing that happened in this episode, too.
Right?
Yeah, I noticed that earlier.
Yeah, that's
There's
a lot.
Ricks, Richards, and Johns in this room, and
It's
that's
all,
it.
dude. This is a lot.
So he's a butcher and a part-time.
Innkeeper.
I didn't know people had
Is he a
part-time
full-time
jobs.
butcher?
I didn't see how much time he put into the butching thing, which might be like, I don't know if he split between the two or was like, full-time, part-time to really make those ends meet. But
Was that a pun?
full-time, part-time?
Well, no, you said ends meet.
I see what you're saying because it could be spelled different ways.
MEAT.
Well, that makes it a homophone, not necessarily a pun. It was the way it was used.
Are you homophobic?
That's a pun.
There you go. Okay, now I'm getting on board.
Thank
I want to
God.
learn what these
On
words
board.
mean
What are you, a
eventually.
surfer?
This is.
Oh man,
I think he's a
how'd you- I
skateboarder.
stood up once.
What?
After receiving a basic education, he followed in his father's footsteps, taking an apprenticeship as a butcher.
But not
Not the
dabbling in
not dabbling. No,
not dabbling in innkeeping.
I mean I'm sure he
Well, there's the first problem. I have an idea of where the story is going, and I think I know why. But I'm sorry. Go on.
right.
That he's a murderer because he butchered?
That
he cut a meat?
No, that he got jealous about his dad's innkeeping business, and that turned him into a patricidal.
Is
maniac.
innkeeping the kind of gig that you get jealous someone else has? What's innkeeping? That's like being the guy when they ring the bell at the hotel and you're like, all right, I'll be there in a second to check you in, right? Is that what innkeeper is?
It is mostly saying that you'll be there in a second.
Oh, that's horrifying.
I mean, that's kind of a fun job, though, just continuously.
Sounds like just me having a conversation with my wife.
You know what I'm saying?
Am I an innkeeper?
It sounds like me when we first start having sex. I'll be there in a second. And then, but shockingly, chopping up animals in a small town in the 18th century was not super lucrative. So it wasn't long before he tried his hand at some basic thievery. After being caught in the act of stealing a pair of oxen, Richard fled Hempstead, but not before authorities issued a warrant for his arrest using the name that would make him notorious, Dick Turpin.
Are you serious?
Basic thievery is stealing oxen.
I mean, yeah, it's not like there's no complicated plan for stealing an oxen.
That's the most complicated thing I could think of to steal.
No, because they can walk on their own, Rick. Like most things you steal, you
like,
have
what's-
to pick them
what's-
up. And an oxen, you just go like, hey, over
What's
here,
your
boy.
oxen stealing plan? Like, if you're to steal oxen, how do you?
I don't know where to begin.
That's a
I
good
need a
point.
truck.
Yeah.
I need to know what I'm going to do with the oxen.
You're not even a
Sure.
good basic thief, man.
I'm a decent basic thief. I'm a DBS-T.
You need a
thief.
wheelman.
Oh, dude, the acronyms are here. I love it.
You need like a small Asian gymnast to fit in all the small
SAG.
spaces. Yeah. Important.
Oh, fuck.
As a Richard, I often get asked how that led to the nickname Dick.
Wait, you do, or you're saying this is
I
a
do
quote from our
often.
character?
No, I am asked at least a couple times a year where Dick comes from Richard.
I'm
People assume I'd
asked
know
a couple
that.
times a year, like, could I call you Dick?
Yeah, that one's constant.
Wait, do Ricks get called dicks too?
I'm a Richard.
Yeah, Rick is short for. So I'm about to educate you on the name Richard and how it gets to the name Dick.
Oh, I already
That's
know.
what's
This
about
is
to
just for
happen.
our listeners. I just want to make sure they know.
I'm sure you totally know all these things because
Yeah,
you know
I
a lot of things.
I went to college for a couple days.
But once I realized we were having a fellow Richard on the show, this seemed like a good opportunity, and a Richard as our subject.
Oh, yeah.
To delve into Dick, basically. Mm-hmm. As a Richard, I often get asked how that led to the nickname Dick. There are a few misconceptions, especially given the origin of the name Richard. Most etymologists tie the modern Richard to the Proto-Germanic name Ricarthu, which ironically enough translates to hard ruler.
You fucking fascist.
I know I laid that out right there for you
Such a
too.
you are a fascist. You're a big Viking.
I thought you were thinking of like a hard. I thought you were going to go like hard. Like
Oh, you thought I was going to go boner?
yeah, I thought you were going to go boner there.
I try not to always go sexual on
Fair
this
enough.
show.
Well, this is going to be interesting 3 paragraphs then.
All right, lube me up. Let's do it.
Given the modern meanings of the word dick, many people assume the nickname was given to call the various kings and hard rulers a jerk or a penis.
But that's not what it came from.
You'd be surprised, actually. Go on.
But both of those meanings appear in writing much later than the nickname. The
Listen to
first
this.
recorded use of the word dick as a slang for penis is in the 1890s as British Army slang.
That's 175 years later.
Yeah, at least. Minimum.
So in the old days, 300 years ago, no one referred to your cock as your dick.
It's not really recorded until the late 1800s.
So in the late 1800s, they started referring to the penis as dick.
Yes, and we're going to get to why that happened in a moment.
But people always called their penises Richards.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, I still do.
You guys are messing with me, right? That's not what happened. They just called it a penis.
I'm just
Yeah.
riffing. Yeah. I have no idea what's going on.
Well, they called it something else. We'll get to that too.
Spotted dick.
The reality is much simpler and goes back to the 13th century. Since everything had to be written by hand, shortened versions of names were common. Richard was shortened to Rich or Rick, spelled R-I-C. And much like Robert to Rob
Oh my
to
gosh,
Bob,
the R, when you drew the R, if you were really in a rush, you wouldn't draw the little leg come down.
It was just a little dick.
Instead of Rick, it would just be a D, right? I solved it.
Yeah, you solved it. Or this.
Oh.
Much like Robert to Rob to Bob,
Slow played you.
Rick rhymed with Dick, and there you go.
That's it? Just 'cause
Richard
it rhymed?
Richard to Rich to Rick to Dick.
So I could be a Ron or a Don as a Jonathan?
Basically, yeah.
How about a Lon?
This were the 1200s.
Another nickname for Richard at that time was Hick, another rhyming name.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, Bick was never something that caught on. You know
Very-
why?
yeah.
I do.
Why?
Because Brian, also known as Ryan, was often confused with Ryans and Bryans, and they decided the B's and the R's can't be synonymous with an R name like Rick. So they never did.
Are you guys
I
serious
read that
right now?
once.
Are you-
Yeah, Oxford English Dictionary. That's
OED.
So it's all
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the phonetics?
AATF.
Yeah, yeah.
P, technically.
I thought there was like a huge, deep meaning, but it's just a phonetic thing. It just comes down
Most
to
things in life are phonetic. It's very superficial, but it's like when you see somebody and you look at their looks. What does it sound like? What does it look like? This is how we assume and what we project.
You've blown my mind, and I haven't even caught up with my thoughts yet.
more interesting is how dick became slang for penis.
It's so patronizing to tell us what's more interesting. Just tell us.
That's a great. You know what? I'm
fair-
going to remember that for every other episode from now
fair
on.
enough.
And if that were more interesting, why don't you just open with that one?
Fair enough.
Thanks for being here, Rick, and making
right.
sure that
It's been
Slaton
fun.
doesn't fucking condescend the whole goddamn episode to me and the listeners.
It's been fun, guys.
Don't tell me what it's been. You're just really trying to control the emotions in the room.
He's really opening. It's like I ate a bunch of mushrooms, and it came in the form of Rick.
If he were saying that, he would say it's like you ate a bunch of mushrooms.
He's like, you're about to like the rest of this story. Don't tell me what I'm gonna do.
Around the 1500s.
How about we tell you around what year it
Yeah, you
is,
know
you
what?
fucking fascist?
Why don't we make it the 16th century?
Fine. In the 16th century.
No, don't lie to us about the story now, Richard.
It's the same thing.
It's the same
thing.
dick.
It's the same century.
Same thing.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Phonetics. It's like someone's looks.
History is history, and history is a mystery because it rhymes with history.
In the 16th century, also known as the 1500s,
Condescending.
dick became a name referring to an everyman. In Henry IV, William Shakespeare refers to Tom, Dick, and Francis,
I know.
much like Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah, when they say Tom, every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
It started as every Tom, Dick, and Francis.
I like that even better. Francis is a great
With
name.
the name Dick becoming synonymous with fellow, guy, or dude, it was an easy jump to apply it to male genitalia. So really, it was just that Dick was like, it could be like saying like, hey, that guy has a big dude. You could have easily said that.
That works.
Yeah, there you go.
That guy's an average size.
Since
dude.
then, Dick has taken on a wide variety of meanings. Things that have been called Dick include aprons, dictionaries, detectives, riding whips,
that pie in England, the
and a
spotted dick.
unit of measure of 10 sheep. That's a dick of sheep.
10 sheep though.
Yeah,
it's a huge dick.
Yeah, it's actually the precise. It's an average size dick. It's the right size dick.
Is 10 sheep?
10 sheep is a dick. 11, it's a dick. It's a dick plus.
Can you imagine the responsibility that we'd all have if our dicks were that long?
They were 10 sheep long.
I don't even like bringing fanny packs.
You'd
or
have to have
backpacks.
10 sheep to carry your 10 sheep long dick around.
Everything would be different.
Only
Yes,
rich men would be able to travel.
No, but if that's what everybody had, everything would be different.
We never would have evolved.
It's
for
called
sure.
the butterfly effect,
Yeah, yeah.
commonly known as the sheep
Dick effect.
The sheep effect, yeah.
I thought it was a dick effect.
Nope, the sheep effect.
Well, also the bleep effect, which rhymes with sheep.
In
That counts.
1847, the Oxford English Dictionary listed dick as meaning a type of hard cheese. In 1878, the edition cites using the phrase dying dick to mean your dying declaration. It was once popularly used to mean declaration or announcement. One source cited it in a sentence saying, "I do dick, Mr. Beauregard. You are my hero."
I wouldn't call this more interesting.
I mean, there was the front part. I'm just giving you some more dick history. Some more dick history. Yeah.
You kind of put yourself in you know what you did? You walked into
Yeah.
a room and you said, "Hey, everybody, watch this." When you could have just spin the ball on your finger,
enough.
and
That's a
we
good
would have
point.
liked it.
I do dick declare.
In 1891, Volume 2 of the J.S. Farmer and W.E. Henley book Slang and its Analogues referred to using long words without knowing their meaning as swallowing the dick.
Yeah, also known as my ex-wife.
And my current
I
wife.
just wish it was mine because that's why we broke up. It's also cited dick as slang for penis and provided the commonly used synonym of the era, cream stick.
Slick. Yeah, a buddy of mine used to live back then.
Oh, okay, cool. I was wondering where you learned, because cream stick, not a popular. I mean, I thought you would enjoy.
They would say that about penises?
That was a name for a penis, a cream stick.
I fucking love that, and I will not eat those weird popsicles anymore now.
The orange ones?
So yeah, the creamsicles.
They're the
Why, are
best
you
ones.
homophobic?
Yeah.
Wait, what is it, homophobic?
Wow.
I have no problem
This
with
is 2018.
I have no
bro.
problem with the penis. It's just, the cream that comes out of it.
Yeah, I just have a problem with dairy.
Yeah, mostly.
right?
Lactose intolerant. It's a Jew thing.
Gives me diarrhea.
Yeah, well done.
Yep.
Back in the 1700s, in England, Dick Turpin married at the age of 20 to Elizabeth Millington. After finishing his apprenticeship, the couple moved to Buckhurst Hill, Essex, where he opened a butcher's shop.
Is this before or after the ox stealing?
This is after.
Oh, this is after. Yeah, now he's done stealing ox. He's mature now. He doesn't commit any more crimes. That's what the rest
Now
of the story.
he's got married.
The rest of the story is about him just living a square life.
And I'm sure nothing bad will happen from here. That sounds great.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally normal. But the 1720s saw a massive downturn in the English economy. Once again, Dick faced a failing business. So it wasn't long before he did the only thing that made sense.
It was a
and
dick market.
He became a black.
Smith?
No, a black.
What does that mean?
A black was a term for poacher, derived from the practice of blackening their faces as a disguise.
Oh, okay.
Being a black was very dangerous.
It still is in some places.
Yeah, it reminds me of my wife.
My ex-wife.
In response to a rash of deer poaching on private lands, British Parliament passed the Black Act in 1723.
Say that 10 times fast, huh?
British Parliament passed the
Black Act in 1723.
Yeah, I can't even say it once. The law covered those found in certain lands with a weapon, blackface, disguise, or any combination thereof, allowing for a sentence of death.
Whoa, they used to love to do that, and
What?
they still do in certain Middle Eastern countries, where it's just like you do something that's not murder or rape, and they're like, "We're cutting stuff off of you, or killing you," and you're like, "That wasn't even that bad of a thing." Right?
I mean, I think we can all agree that blackface at this point is kind of worth a death sentence.
I get that we're on a comedy podcast, but that's something I've thought about. I've rewatched Game of Thrones. By the way, did it all 7 seasons in 2 weeks.
Proud of you, man.
So good. But I was thinking about that. You're just killing people, dude.
Yeah, it's like, isn't life sacred? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, it's like maybe there weren't as many people, so like they thought, no, that would be inverted. Then you think that you had even more.
They'd have more value.
Maybe because they didn't have census, they thought they had more than they had.
Yeah, the whole lack of senses back in dragon times.
A general lack of sacredity of that's right.
TR.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. TR. That is T and R is right.
I'll tell you right now, bro.
Unless I said that's right.
But that's very interesting. It's something I have thought about. The punishments back in the day were crazy.
Yeah. They still are in a few countries, but yeah, in general, we just don't do that nowadays. But you be bad, and they'd be like, all right, well, we're just killing you.
I mean, like one time I got so many tickets, they put a boot on my car, and I was like, this is draconian.
Yeah.
This is like really
draconian
too much.
is if they cut your feet off.
Baratheon burned his daughter at the stake because of the Red Witch.
It's insane.
Yeah, and to this day, that one act has affected our judicial system in ways that we can't even imagine.
Give us an example.
Like kids continuously are put into prison and occasionally burned for talking back and stuff.
Did you notice that he told us ways that we can't actually imagine? Is that condescending again, Rick?
I don't want to nitpick something that I don't believe his intention was that way. I think it's just the way he speaks.
Okay.
So I don't think that making fun of him is the way. I just bringing awareness to it, I think, is important.
Awareness
and
is
even
most
more
important.
interesting.
This is very
I think it's
draconian.
something you should work on.
Thank you. I did find that more interesting. So it's something I appreciate.
You can't even imagine. Oh, can't I?
It listed other capital offenses like setting fire to corn or trying to rescue a black from prison.
What is it? What's the subject
the
here?
Black Act of 1723.
Did anyone else imagine the band Corn being set on fire right there? Okay, go on.
Other capital offenses: setting fire to corn or trying to rescue a black from prison.
Not Jonathan Davis.
In all, it introduced a death penalty for over 50 different crimes. Oddly enough, the actual poaching of deer was none of those crimes.
Why is that odd? Were you referencing poaching deer?
The whole point of this is that being a black is being a deer poacher.
Oh, I didn't hear. I thought you just said poacher.
Poachers. Oh, yeah, well, they were doing a lot. Maybe I didn't say deer anywhere. You know what? Good catch, man. You pay attention. That's solid. Not everyone pays attention in this show.
TSNEPAITS.
But fear of death
BFOD.
was not enough.
WN. How do you spell enough? E or O?
E.
No.
You can spell it however you want.
It was not enough.
I'm an individualist myself. Spell it how you want, but the
Enough.
consensus is an E. Enough.
O-N-O. O-N-E.
O-N-E.
One.
Fear of death was not enough to stop young Dick from joining up with an outfit of blacks led by Samuel, Jeremiah, and Jasper Gregory.
That would make a good T-shirt. Mm-hmm. Read that again. Picture this on a T-shirt.
Not enough to stop young Dick from joining up with an outfit of blacks.
Hey, what does that shirt mean? It was from this podcast.
That's our sticker of the month. Oh, we lose Patreon subscribers. Like, this sticker fucking sucks.
What the shit? At first, Dick's work with the Gregory gang was limited to his skills as a butcher. With all the dead deer, the gang needed someone to dispose of the bodies.
Well, this guy's got it. He's skilled.
It made sense a butcher would have animal parts lying about, plus he could prepare the meat for its illegal sale.
What did you say? What just happened? I kind of like left for a second.
Sometimes the words just kind of like fly by, and you're like,
but you said
hey, Maverick and Goose, you know?
You go back just two sentences.
Okay. He was there.
What about having the extra parts around?
So because he was a butcher,
right,
his service to this gang of poachers was to butch up the dead deer.
So these people are stealing deer for what?
To sell and
stealing them from whom?
From people from landowners. So they're going to the.
So landowners own the deer because the deer are on their land.
Exactly.
That's how backwards that was.
It's like Robin Hood style.
Yeah, you're supposed to own the land because you own the. You're supposed to like the deer. You own the deer, and then they're on the land, and then you own that land.
So I'm going to steal this deer, and what I want to do with it is what? Make money off of it?
Yeah.
So it's a chop shop, basically.
Yeah,
basically for deer.
He's a deer chop shop.
So being a butcher, he's like a mechanic who now says, "Why don't you bring the stuff to me? I'll take the hubcaps off. I'll rearrange. I'll scratch off the serial. You'll pay me a percentage, and then I'll give you like some deer dick.
You get me like a 1973 GTO deer,
right?
And then I'll polish it up, change the parts around, and then we'll resell it.
I think I understand.
A faster deer.
Okay, I get it.
You got it.
Thank you.
For a year or two, Dick operated on the edges of the gang, but things changed in 1734 when a number of members were captured.
Wait a minute, how can you say a year or two, but you know the date was 74? Was it 72 before that or 73?
Well, because 1734 is a full year, so it might have been like I don't know if this happened in January or December of 1734.
Right. So, but you could assume an average if you have the year. So I would say about 2 years.
Let's split the difference. Call 18 months ish. Give or take 6 months.
When you're as specific as 18, it sounds like it's right. When you say about, it gives us a standard deviation of a half a year.
Okay, that's fair.
I'd say, around 2 years.
My syntax sometimes is a little bit off.
Syntax.
Don't
make it all about you.
Thank you. That's
Adjust
fair.
it.
Thank us.
Customs was closing in and making it more risky to be a black.
TBAB.
So the gang switched to something that could be done with a smaller team. Bugoolery.
That's where bugoolery comes from.
I love bugoolery.
Also known as a witch tit.
Ooh. I didn't know.
That's where cold as a witch's tit comes from. Go on.
Oh, bugoolery. Okay. Oh, I see the etymology, how that would lead there. That makes sense. Just catch up, Shefsky. It's fine.
I'm so lost now. Which tit?
You'll see.
Their MO was simple. Find an isolated farmhouse in the countryside.
Excuse me, a what-elated?
Titillated.
Isolate.
Ice. Cold. Witch tit. That's what I'm talking about.
There we go. See? I knew it. Dude, you tie it in.
He's having my mind blown right now. It's like we have a words doctor. We have,
Their MO or modus operandus was simple. Find an isolated farmhouse in the countryside, usually occupied by the elderly.
That's another thing that's condescending when people give us the or. If we don't know what it is, don't even let us know you know. Don't say MO. If I don't know what MO is, I'll say, what is it? You'll say it's apparatus.
I'm trying to preach to both the knowers and the non-knowers.
What time is the podcast? At 4:30 p.m., also known as post meridian. Let's just say what it is.
That's fair.
TF.
It's weird that I just said post meridian to you and didn't say PM in the text.
You didn't say post meridian to me. I was giving an example.
Oh.
You don't need to give the or. You give one.
Oh, fair.
I'm just glad he's giving something.
I can't believe I usually say post meridian, so that's why I'm actually kind of confused.
He's always taking.
Yeah.
I think I knew that it wasn't 4:30 in the morning, so we just left that out.
They usually they break into isolated houses in the countryside, usually occupied by the elderly. They would break in, then threaten and torture the inhabitants until they gave up their valuables. Sometimes, if the house had enough booze, the gang would hang around for hours getting wasted.
1700s, you're breaking into places, there's booze hanging out.
Yeah.
I can just imagine, what are the houses like in the 1700s when you're just robbing them?
Cut to the house.
Thatched.
Right? There's no TVs. There's no flat screen. Is there a couch? Do they have couches?
Knock. Hey, can I come in? Oh, you don't have a door, so I guess I'll just walk in now.
They had doors back then.
There's no doors in the 1700s.
You're out of your mind.
Is anyone in there?
Doors weren't invented until like 1895.
They've got booze.
Why do you
man,
think there was so
I've
much
been-
typhoid?
I don't even know where you could get Thai food back then. But I'm just telling you, I happen to have been in buildings that are more than 400 years old that have doors.
Yeah, those were added in retrospect to modernize them for our sensibilities.
Kind of like when you don't have enough when you're ordering your Thai food, you need to get more. So Postmates is free, so you get like a coconut.
It's
Exactly.
1700s in England. No one knows what pad CU is and angel wings. Yes, tom kha soup. Who ordered that? It's on the table though, in like a fancy like English like little house.
If the usual beatings and humiliation didn't work, they would turn to their favorite method of getting their victims to talk:
What was bugagu? Something about ice.
burglary,
Bagoolery.
bugoolery. Yeah.
Wait a
It's like
minute.
an old way of saying burglary.
People have been saying burglary wrong for a long
Wait,
time.
are you making a joke? Because you said something? Were you just saying burglary weird?
No, that's
no,
the
we
right
were
way.
pronouncing burglary correctly.
Burglary is
It's
the
bugoolery.
Burglary is the weird way to say bagoolery.
Yeah, bugoolery
But
is
we
the
say
So
proper
burglary.
you said bugoolery earlier.
Yeah.
And that was you knew what he meant.
Yes.
Yeah,
Bagoolery.
all our listeners have been educated as to the appropriate pronunciation of the word.
I didn't realize that.
bugoolery. Yeah.
Wait, did you guys know what was up when he was saying about the witch titty?
Well, no, I mean,
He was just riffing?
I didn't even bring Rick on here for comedy. I brought him in here for facts because sometimes I need someone else to help educate you, and it's not even an insult
We need
thing.
somebody to educate us.
We as the collective we need to educate each other.
A collective we.
The
Yeah.
royal we.
That one's right.
Okay.
So if the normal torture and stuff wouldn't work to get them to give up the goods, they would turn to their favorite method of getting their victims to talk,
Fingering their bung holes with their tongues.
which, roasting.
They roasted him like they sat up and they're like, the last time I saw this guy, he had more hair and less eyebrows. Is blah blah.
Is that
blah.
what you mean by roasting, or do you mean burning?
Like Jeff Ross showed
What
up?
they did to.
I mean that they burned some people. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, sick burns, bro. You know, they're like, hey, you're so fat that your mom sits around the house or something.
like
you know?
Baratheon's daughter.
Yeah. They would hold the victim over a fire to get their questions answered.
So Tony Hinchcliffe didn't write for that one.
At one job, they pulled a 70-year-old man's pants to his ankles, spanked him with a pair of pistols,
That's kind of funny.
then dragged him around the house by his nose before making him sit bare-assed on a fire.
Yeah, sounds like going to my mother-in-law's. Oof.
Oh, boy.
It's kind of cruel, don't you think? 70-year-old.
I mean,
You know?
but I mean, at that point, you don't even need your ass
It was a
anymore.
different time.
You've used your ass. Your ass is kind of done at that point.
You're just lucky to be alive at 70 in England in those days, and then they're going and they're basically pushing you up against death's door,
They don't even have Thai food.
right?
No doors.
no
Yeah,
doors, no
typhoid.
Thai
Pets'
food.
heads are falling off.
Everywhere.
Got no jobs.
By February of 1735, the gang was so notorious
So this is 3 years after.
How notorious were they?
that authorities put out a reward of £50, the equivalent today of $8,000.
Not that much, even
Kind of
today.
like what Bitcoin did in 2 years.
Right? Hey, this Bitcoin references. I'm starting to like having Rick on this show, folks.
Starting to.
Start invest now.
At this point.
That's right.
Wow.
Keep going. Go on
Wow,
with your
Rick,
story.
I've been enjoying you this entire time.
Go
Appreciate that.
Oh,
But,
okay.
you know, whatever, it's
All
fine.
right, now we're picking sides.
Yeah. And
I took nothing from it.
I'm
I
on
know
the-
you. I
I'm on the
just
side
I
of
took what you
dicks.
said as a compliment.
Thank you.
It didn't take long to work. On the 11th, 3 members of the Gregory gang.
On the 11th.
of February. We're in February of 1735.
President's Month.
On the 11th of
Not yet.
February,
No?
3.
Black History Month.
Black History Month.
Black
Yeah,
History Month.
Yeah.
Not yet.
What are you talking about?
It wasn't Black History Month. Black History Month wasn't implemented until
What?
later.
Can I just prove my point? It was history, and there were black people.
Why wasn't it Black
So?
History Month yet?
Black
I
History
don't
Month.
know. If it were up to me, I would have made Black History Month in like
The 400s BC.
no.
You gotta start. Or you gotta
No,
start early.
I would have it. I would do it in like the early 14s.
Early 1400s?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, hey, man, Thurgood Marshall. And everyone's like, we don't know who he is yet.
Yeah.
No,
I heard of him.
Yeah.
If they
They've
would've-
all heard of him. They're all like, oh, yeah, Thurgood. Yeah,
But
I totally get it. Dude, he's one of my favorites.
If we would have started Black History Month back then, we might not have needed all the stuff that's been going on for the past 100 years. You know what I mean?
Maybe we probably wouldn't even need Black History Month
If
now.
people's dicks, okay, if we go back to a couple of ifs, right? What
Yeah.
if people's dicks were 10 sheep long and we had Black History Month since the beginning of time?
Well, you know
we'd
what?
probably
If
be
they
getting
were 10
along
sheep
better?
long, that probably would have caused Black History Month because we would have been like, hey, they're 11 sheep.
Oh, you were
So-
talking about comparing black people's penises? I'm trying to break away from racial stereotypes, even
I'm
if they're
trying to give
positive.
credit where it's due.
I guess you're right.
Yeah,
You win. Touche.
I'm just a normal 10 sheep long dick fella.
Touche, bro.
And every once in a while you see 11 sheeps and you're like, wow.
Shit. 3 shade, bro.
Wow,
You're doing
I
good.
added an S to my pluralization of sheep just to accommodate the extra 12 to 24
You know,
inches
a
of
group
dick.
of sheep is actually called a shy.
Yeah.
A shyster?
No, a shy.
How dare you?
And if you have, and it goes to 100, and anything more than that, it's a number of shy.
A shy plus 3.
So you have 4 shy of sheep is 400 sheep.
And well, a full shy of sheep is actually 10 dicks of sheep.
So when you say that's about 6 shy of, what does that mean?
It means that you need another 600 sheep to have 60 dicks.
I was just joking about the shy thing.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, okay, what has anyone been serious this whole time? Am I learning, or are you guys doing some sort of weird programming?
On the 11th of February, 3 members of the Gregory gang stopped at the Punch House in Bloomsbury for a drink.
They're the Gregory gang?
Yeah.
I forgot. Dude, it reminds me of Clan McGregor.
Oh, yes, Clan McGregor.
Greg from McGregor.
Unfortunately, the boys had also stopped there before a recent robbery and were quickly recognized by the owner.
Oh, dipshits.
It's funny that you say, unfortunately, you take the point of view of the criminals here instead of
I go back and
the
forth.
law.
He likes criminals. I'm always like, guys, don't commit crimes. And Slaton's always like, please, we need more stories. Like, he doesn't care. The world can burn as long as he has a career.
We'll just make it a whimsical crime.
Go on with your story, you fucking dick.
He called for the constable and the men
Dickard.
were arrested. Despite facing the noose, 2 of them kept their mouths shut.
See, these people are facing death over this
The
shit.
third, 15-year-old John Wheeler, sang like a bird, giving descriptions of the crew and their likely hangouts.
Also known as Ron Dealer, because it rhymed with his name.
Dick's profile appeared in the London Gazette.
It was a big silhouette of a cock.
Quote, Turpin, a butcher by trade, is a tall, fresh-colored man, very much marked by the smallpox.
You may have seen him on Comedy Central, Netflix, and Showtime.
About 26 years of age, about 5 feet 9 inches high, wears a blue-gray coat and a natural wig.
And has 23,000 Twitter followers.
Which is part of why he was so popular back then.
Right?
I mean, just right out the gate, really setting the tone.
Did you say he has a wig?
Yeah.
Everyone has wigs in the old days.
Yeah, why wouldn't you have a wig?
Well, because we have hair also. Like, what do you need a wig for?
Why would you
hat.
want hair?
Wigs were hats.
Yeah, good point.
Weird. Why did they just wear hats?
Yeah, you
instead
ever
of
have 59
They
50?
realized that later.
Oh, it takes a while, right? It's like Black History Month. It took us a few hundred years. We finally figured it out.
Yeah, to this day, I wear a flat brim fitted wig. So,
I wish I could have a practical joke where I took my head off and I had the little guy from Men in Black driving my body, but I don't have the money for that kind of joke.
6 days later, Sam Gregory, Dick, and 2 others were nearly caught while stopping at an ale house.
Is this
But fortunately, they weren't.
But luckily,
luckily,
they were able to fight their way free of the constable. That same week, 4 other members, including Jasper Gregory, were caught while drinking at a candle shop, but not Dick.
Oh, what were they drinking in a candle shop for? Were they about to eat some spicy food and they wanted to cover their tongue in wax like Homer at the chili cook-off? What's going on here?
That's a pretty good comparison. I didn't even realize that. That's what happened in that episode of Futurama.
3 of them met the gallows on March 10th. The 4th died in prison before the trial. Their bodies were hung to rot in gibbets along the side of the road.
Oh my God, these guys died?
Oh yeah, no, they killed them for being
I didn't know it was
thieves.
going to actually happen. You kind of let us up like it was going to be a fun little cute story. They were drinking beers and putting wax on things.
Nothing bad will happen at this point after this, though.
Oh, good.
No, now it sounds like it's easy sailing. Go on.
Now we can relax.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
finally put my feet up, enjoy the story.
The Gregorys and Dick didn't feel like being killed and displayed, so they decided to skip town.
Is this where Dick Gregory got his name?
Yes.
Oh my God. This
I know,
story is
shocking,
phenomenal.
right? But having spent all their stolen cash on booze and other entertainment, they didn't have enough money left to make their getaway. So Samuel and Jeremiah Gregory, along with Dick and his pal...
Entertainment. What entertainment?
like booze and women. Like you pay a woman to talk to you and tell her your stories.
You ever get drunk and talk to prozzies?
Yeah, you've never paid a woman to tell you about her day or whatever.
Like a professional?
I guess that's going on a date.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
So I've been on a date. I don't call that entertainment.
Look, like a better, like a good guy might go on a date, whatever. But for a guy like me, when I want to hear stories, I have to pay for it, and it's kind of
You don't.
really.
No.
You got a podcast, man. You get out there.
You're conditioning yourself into a narrative that is like forcing you to live a certain lifestyle that doesn't need to. Anybody that you're paying to have a conversation with you. I mean, I'm doing this podcast. I'm having a conversation with you, a long one.
Are you gonna have sex with them on the table,
and
though?
more interesting. You're not paying me.
Dare you?
I'm just saying.
How dare you bring sex into this?
I'm just saying.
I just every once in a while give a woman 200 roses so she can tell me about her day.
The second we stop,
how her friend was mean.
Is this a sorry mom moment? Sorry, mom.
Rick,
we
I feel
think
like
about we think about sex as this goal, as this thing to come upon, to win, to get, to pay for.
I come
But
upon
if you look at sex as just a heightened form of connection, it happens or it doesn't, and it's nothing to set expectation toward, and it's nothing to degrade when you're having a conversation and connecting with someone organically. And once you pay someone for that, where does the charade, which is short for charade, end?
He's right. But also sometimes you just need to get your nuts off. Go on with the story, Slaton.
So Samuel and Jeremiah Gregory, along with Dick and his pal Thomas Rowden, went on a short rampage, robbing houses and travelers until they saved up enough money for the journey. The four split up. Sam and Jeremiah went one way, Dick and Tom the other, hopefully to meet up after their escape. But before they could leave, the Gregory brothers needed to stop.
The Greggies?
For a drink.
So these guys are alkies. So these guys can't stay away from problems. They're like, we got a plan. We need to escape the noose. We got somewhere we got to go. And people are like, hey, let's just go to a bar real quick.
Get a little quick one in.
Dude, we'll get a beer when we get to the next town.
They were, of course, recognized quickly, and the constables were called.
Of course!
But Sam and Jeremiah would not go quietly.
Into the night, like that poem.
A fight broke out, and both brothers were injured. Jeremiah took a bullet to the leg, while Sam lost the tip of his nose to a sword.
Holy fuck, that's brutal in the old days.
Which happens more. It's happened multiple times in the show where someone has lost part of their nose to a sword.
That's why when they say a lot of Jews are known for having large noses.
Because we never get fights
we're great sword fighters.
Sword people.
What's that?
Because we're great sword fighters.
We never get fights with people that have swords.
Yeah, I guess. I think it's more derivative of this incident that used to happen.
Sure.
They would call Goy like sword noses.
Yeah.
Like he's not a sword nose. He's not part of us.
Yeah.
He can't smell what we're cooking, what the Rock's cooking over here. Big into wrestling, most Jews. WWF, all of them, all the federations. Especially the Space Federation.
Jeremiah's wound proved to be fatal.
Cute, testing the water. I kind of want to pinch your cheeks right now.
And he passed away soon after in Winchester Jail.
Wait, from his nose getting sliced?
No, Jeremiah was the one who got shot in the leg.
See, what did I tell you? In the old days, nowadays you get shot in the leg, you're back at work on Monday. You get shot in the leg.
Assuming you got shot in the leg on Tuesday, I mean, it takes some time.
Well, yeah,
6 days.
I was going to say time machine, but yeah,
that is the official waiting period for having been shot in the leg.
6 to 7.
6 to 7 days. Okay, but in the old days,
6 to 7, which split the difference 6.5.
You get a paper cut in the 1600s and you're dead.
What?
Can't do the days.
Fair enough.
Right?
I didn't know the rules.
Because like if it's 10 p.m. and then it's 5 a.m., that's still the next day, even though it's been only 7 hours. It really there's a hard in and out.
Okay.
But a year is magnified too large.
Okay.
Are you learning right now, Slaton? Because I am.
Samuel was transferred to Newgate Prison in the heart of London to await trial. By this point, he was so notorious that they moved him, quote, handcuffed and chained under a horse's belly with 7 or 8 persons well armed to guard him.
Just hanging out underneath the belly?
They chained him to the bottom of the horse.
This is the guy without the nose, so he didn't have a problem sleeping under a horse. He probably couldn't smell all the bullshit.
Yeah, the one issue, though, is the cut off tip of your nose rubbing against the horse's belly and or cock the entire way.
Well, we don't know how far the tip was. Was it like a sous chef that cuts off down to the bone their fingertip? Or
I think if any part of your nose is cut off, it's going to suck to rub it against a horse for many miles.
I've cut a finger off with scissors before.
It probably wouldn't have lasted 300 years, this story, if it was so little that it didn't affect him under the horse.
That's a great point. That is a good point.
That's a very good point.
Okay,
interestingly enough.
Fair enough. It's,
In the end, John Wheeler's testimony was too much for the Gregory gang. All but 4 were tried, hanged, and displayed in gibbets. If you don't know, a gibbet, for our listeners, is one of those cages that you would hang people in.
Oh, from all the scary movies.
Yeah.
Like all the Renaissance and post-apocalyptic stuff. Yep. You hang from a gibbet.
Yep.
The Iron Maiden. Right?
That's a different thing, but cool.
But it's similar. You're in a metal cage and you can't go
an
anywhere.
Iron Maiden has like spikes inside. It's like a coffin with spikes that they close in on you and stab you up a bunch. Whereas a gibbet is like it's a big cage they hang out and they're like, hey, look at this guy.
Loser!
He's a dick.
You walk by him, you do the loser sign with your hand.
Is that the thing with the wooden thing in your hand and your head?
No, that's the wooden thing. That's a stockade.
So which one are you talking about?
A gibbet is a cage that like you would hang up.
You see them like in Robin Hood and all like.
So are they dead in there?
So sometimes people are putting in a gibbet when they're alive.
And where? How are they connected to it? Are they just standing?
You're inside this cage. There's no way out. And
what's the difference between a cage and a gibbet?
A gibbet is a type of cage.
So there's just in a cage, and we're calling it a gibbet.
But that's a specific type of cage.
And
what makes it?
What's the difference between a Taurus and a car? Well, a Taurus is a type of car.
But I'm saying, what distinguishes a gibbet as what's different between a gibbet and I'm just picturing a cage?
I think the shape and size. It's like one of those. It's like one of those sort of torpedo-shaped cages that you would see in like medieval times.
You see it in Robin Hood. You see it in Mad Max. You see it in.
I can picture it. It's kind of like the silhouette of like a 9-foot person.
Yes.
But a cage.
Yes.
Sure. And it's like 3D.
Sure.
Yep.
I get it.
Also, phonetically, it's where the term gibbet here comes from.
Yep. In the end, Wheeler's testimony, they were tried, hanged, and gibbeted. And a newspaper later reported that a curious onlooker had examined the skull of Samuel Gregory, discovering that it housed a bird's nest with several baby chicks,
What?
which he sold for a good price.
Oh my! So the dead dude's skull became a bird's
Became a
nest.
birdhouse, and then he sold the skull birdhouse.
It's pretty ironic that the guy who sang like a canary ended up housing them.
That is a good point.
Different guy, but I did like what you were doing.
Thanks
You're welcome.
so much. Actually,
Isn't it ironic?
Don't you think? As for the members who escaped the noose,
It's like a bird nest in your cranial region. It's like the little eggs.
Speaking of irony, today I went to the DMV to get my license renewed.
Oh, that is
and
ironic.
As I pulled in, a lady trying to get into the DMV parking lot smashed her car into the gate on the way into the parking lot.
Oh, comedy.
Yeah, that was enjoyable. I took a photograph of it and everything.
That's awesome. Well, you just stood there like a douchebag modern millennial.
Some guy asked me why. A guy asked me why are you taking a picture, and I said because it's funny. He was like, "Oh, okay," and that was the end of that conversation.
You win that one. That is funny.
Oh,
no one was hurt, right? So that it's funny. It's like a Segway crash. No one gets hurt. Funny.
As for the members who escaped the noose, one, a woman named Mary Brazier, was transported to the 13 colonies, probably as an indentured servant or convict lease. As a reward for snitching, 15-year-old John Wheeler was pardoned and released, only to die 3 years later.
Yeah, snitches get stitches.
The cause
bitch.
of death was not recorded.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened, motherfucker.
As for the final two, Dick Turpin and Thomas Rowden, they turned to a new enterprise, one that would make Dick Turpin famous.
So how did Dick Turpin? How does he keep getting away? Because he didn't stop for drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Highway robbery.
Okay.
While their friends rotted on the road and became animal houses, Tom and Dick moved along the outer woods beyond the borders of London, depriving travelers of their valuables. The bodies were barely cold when the pair was named as suspects in a robbery on July 10th, listed by their nicknames Turpin the Butcher and Tom the Pewterer.
So now these guys have typical cliche wanted
which is where
posters.
turpentine comes from.
It's about turpentine.
Pewterer refers to Tom's previous conviction as a counterfeiter, making copies of silver coins out of
pewter.
cheap pewter.
Pewterer.
Yep.
Yeah.
They spent the summer robbing coaches as they traveled through the woods, but when the bounty on their heads was raised up to 100 pounds, they decided it was time to part ways. Tom stayed in London and went back to counterfeiting. In July of 1736, he was caught trying to pass a fake, convicted and sentenced to transportation to His Majesty's colonies and plantations in America
That's gotta
for a
suck.
term of 14 years.
To be basically a slave.
Dick, on the other hand, disappeared. There were reports that he was seen in Holland, but nothing official until February of 1737. Dick, looking to wet his cream stick.
Sorry, mom again.
Sorry, Mom.
Looking to wet. Wait. So he was literally looking to get laid?
Sent a letter to his wife to arrange a rendezvous.
Ooh, he's on the lam and he's communicating. Even in the old days, before there were phones, people still did foolish shit where it's like, don't call your wife.
Yeah, no, call, but call her. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Get in there.
You said it yourself. Every now and then you gotta just come.
Yeah,
That's right. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta unload. You gotta unleash the beast.
Yeah, I schedule it for like once every between year and 2 years. Some might say 18 months. Just gonna keep that on the calendar.
I usually petition my wife. I get about 10 signatures from my friends that say I've been acting up and I just need my medicine, and usually it works.
A friend of ours said that she would let her boyfriend for his birthday go in the back door if we got 100 of our friends to sign a petition. And so we got 200 of our friends to sign a petition. I don't know if she ever did it, but we handed her a 200 signature petition. Also, about 100 of our friends, 100 of her friends signed it.
If she didn't already like that and know how to relax it, then it's kind of weird that she'd have to go through a bunch of stuff because of people's
No, you go through the
signatures.
political process is important, and you have to
guess.
go through the people sometimes to make these big decisions on
Gotta
behalf
go
of our
through the
state.
people if you want to go to the poop hole.
The couple, along with a pair of servants, spent the night at a public house in Puckeridge.
So all four of them, bunch of servants,
Yep.
holding dicks, wiping stuff off, wet cloths.
Yeah, you don't have a dick wiper when you're done?
No, that's what they used to have in those old Asian paintings.
God, man, I cannot wait. I cannot wait until you actually make some money and like really get out of this hole you dug yourself in, because having a dick wiper around
Is great, right?
just totally
You ever
changes the
seen those
entire
old,
sexual
have you ever seen
experience.
those old, like, is it Japanese? It's a Kama Sutra. Like, there's Japanese, there's Chinese, there's those old Asian paintings, and it'll have like a dude and a chick having sex, and it'll have a servant that like lines you up and puts you in, like all
Yeah,
this crazy stuff.
no. I mean, as a part Japanese man, that's why I have that.
In a perfect world.
Right? Can you imagine just
Yes.
if
Yeah, he doesn't have to imagine because Rick's successful and he also has a dick
he
wiper.
has a dick wiper.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get there. We need a few more Patreon subscribers. Hint, hint.
Like, guys, anybody on the show, by the way, if you want to, look, we're opening up the show to interns, and you can be John's dick wiper. We'll sign all your paperwork for your school and stuff.
I don't
So.
think my wife would be into it. I'm the kinky one. She'd be like, "Who's this guy?" I'd be like, "Shut up, babe. Let's just let him enter my penis."
But their tryst was rudely interrupted by a team of constables who'd intercepted the letter, learned of the rendezvous, and let it continue.
You've been talking about constables a lot. I'm not sure what it is. I could just let it go, but I don't know what a constable is.
It's someone from Constantinople, Turkey.
Well, the constable is what what held the place of law enforcement at the time.
So the sheriff?
I was going to address this later, but I guess I'll address it now. At the time, there was no official police force, or for local small towns. So a constable was a rotating job that a different person would take on each year, where you volunteered to be the head of, to be the policeman for the town.
Hall monitor.
Yeah, it's the hall monitor. It was the hall monitor of England in the 1700s.
Or just the PD reserve.
Sure. I think hall monitor is probably a better choice, though.
It's better. We'll go with hall monitor.
Hall monitor it is.
Hall monitor.
So the hall monitor learned about their rendezvous and let the letter continue to Mrs. Turpin and set a trap. Dick escaped through an open window. His wife and servants were arrested and charged.
How did they see the mail?
Say what?
How did they see the letter?
Because there was actually a postal service in Britain at the time. So
but what did he put on a postcard or put in an envelope?
Well, the envelope was addressed to his wife, and they were looking for
screening everything that his wife
Got you.
DMV.
And
phone
hall monitors
company,
always in everyone else's business.
junk mail. The packet of coupons. This is from someone important.
I understand. That makes sense.
He escaped through an open window. His wife and servants were arrested and charged with some of his crimes, and they were briefly imprisoned and then released.
She was charged for his crimes?
She was arrested and charged with violent suspicion of being dangerous rogues and robbing upon a highway.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So now she's involved in some crazy shit.
Who's upon a highway?
Once upon a highway?
Upon a highway.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a highway in Mexico.
Dick hit the road for the first time, robbing people on his own. On the road to Cambridge, he ambushed a well-dressed man on a horse.
Dick ambushed.
Drawing his pistol and demanding his money. The man simply laughed. According to legend, hey, I'm pointing a gun at you, so that's a weird reaction for you to have.
Well, listen to this.
According to legend, he then said, quote, "What, dog eat dog? Come, brother Turpin, if you don't know me, I know you and shall be glad of your company."
I just got Cum Brother out of there, which is a cool name for a group.
Cum Brother?
He's my Cum Brother, man.
The victim was Matthew King, one of the time's best-known highwaymen of the day.
Highwayman.
He was a highwayman.
With Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson and Chris Christopherson?
Like a bandit or a thief.
So he shot him?
Well, he pulls his gun and goes, "Give me your money." And the guy goes, "Come on, man.
Fuck you.
Dude, if you don't know me, I know you because we're both in the same business.
Right.
We're both robbers."
And he says, "Don't care."
No, he goes, "Fuck yeah." And they teamed up.
Right.
And they hid in the Ebbing Forest, robbing whoever was unlucky enough to ride past.
So, let that be a note to our listeners. If you're ever getting robbed or mugged or someone's trying to pull a crime on you, just be like, "Whoa, dude.
Bro. Dude, I do this too.
Yeah, cheers, bro. We're in the same union.
Let's rob together,
We're
dog.
the locals, bro. Yeah, we're on the same team.
Dog, seriously.
It's at least worth a try, right?
Two guns is better than one, you know what I'm saying?
Right?
Come on.
It's at least worth a try. Just try that.
While Dick was a pockmarked torturer, King was well-dressed with a bandit's sense of honor. The pair once came across two young women who had just sold some livestock in town. King thought they were too pretty to rob. Dick disagreed and took their cash.
Well, I have to say, I mean, that is kind of fucking. What if they were uglier? He would have robbed them. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of weird.
You robbed the ugly.
That's fucked up.
That's why it's called rob 'em blind. Because
Yeah.
if there was no sense of vanity, you wouldn't be able to see that.
That's great. I had no idea about that. That's very.
If you close your eyes, you could rob anybody. So robbing them blind is actually about the action of the robber, not the person being robbed.
It's not discriminating.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not robbing you blind. You're not becoming blind from it.
Yeah.
I'm just closing. Yeah, not discriminating.
I'm an equal opportunity robber. I'll rob any race. I don't think anyone's better than other. Yeah.
Yeah.
This would not be their last disagreement. In April of 1737, Dick and King stole a horse near Waltham Forest. The owner reported the theft to a local landlord who apparently was the closest thing to law enforcement. The men found the horse tied
Wait,
out.
the landlord was the closest thing?
The closest thing.
They didn't have a Constantinople?
Nope. They didn't have a turkey or anything like that either.
I guess I'm the sheriff then. Yes. The law says I'll deal with this right now.
My landlord can't even fix my garbage disposal.
Am I right? Well, you have to call another landlord.
Maybe I'll call the sheriff.
That's just someone else's landlord.
The men found the horse tied outside the Red Lion Inn in Whitechapel. They staked out the animal, waiting for the thieves to return. When Dick and King finally showed, the landlord and the horse owner sprung their trap.
Spread their trap.
That's when the bandits had their final argument. King thought they should both escape. Dick disagreed. He shot his partner and fled in the ensuing chaos.
Oh, what a fucking
sucks.
Dick's a fucking dick.
Yeah, he's definitely not like one of the nicest guys I've heard of.
He's evil.
The next day, Dick was wanted for murder, but not the murder of Matthew King. After his escape, Dick hid out in Epping Forest, where he was discovered by a try-hard servant named Thomas Morris.
He killed a servant? Just a guy like Norm Macdonald in Hard Work?
The servant saw him.
Tommy Morris, known as kind of a moron,
Tommy Morris.
Oh, maybe he did.
I'm a little dumb.
believed that he could single-handedly capture the famous bandit.
I can single-handedly capture the famous bandit. Watch and learn.
He borrowed a pair of his lord's pistols and headed into the woods where he found Dick Turpin's hideout.
He won't be needing these pistols, so I'm going into the forest.
His plan worked perfectly, except for the not dying part.
My plan's working perfectly, except...
He was too slow on the trigger for Dick, who shot him in the stomach with a rifle.
Trigger for Dick. Trigger for Dick.
Overnight, Dick Turpin became the most wanted man in England. He also committed an impossible number of robberies in the area surrounding Epping Forest. I say impossible because it was.
So that he didn't do all these? He's
With
getting
all the
accused for
focus
stuff?
on Dick, other highwaymen...
Oh, yeah. Any robbery was getting blamed on him? And it's like,
Yep.
how could I have been in two places at the same time?
Well, the number of robberies just skyrocketed. Everyone was like, dude, time to rob, because they're going to blame him.
Oh, shit.
Public outrage grew along with calls for his capture, but there was a slight problem, as there was no police force in England.
The whole country?
The first modern police force was established in Paris by King Louis XIV in 1667.
Say that again?
The first modern police force was established in Paris by King Louis XIV in 1667. But the idea was wholeheartedly rejected by the British citizens, who viewed the idea of paid police at best as an insult to their character and at worst a symbol of foreign oppression. Local communities actively campaigned against the simple idea of a police force, calling them spies and bludgeon men sent to conduct surveillance on the population.
Wow. So even in the old days, people didn't trust police?
In a way, they were right. The French police merely acted as an extension of the crown's absolute authority. It took until 1829 for Britain to create a modern, politically neutral police force.
Jesus Christ. It isn't until the 1800s for that long? So what did they do? They just went to Constantinople's all
Until
the time?
then, local towns had their Constantinoples keep the peace.
They're constables, right?
Yeah,
they're
constable.
Constable.
Constipate.
Constable.
Constipate.
Constable. Constables.
The only problem was that it was a rotating job that was, like I said before, it was unpaid by a different guy each year.
So they were always taking bribes and doing shady stuff, probably.
Besides that, the only other method of local crime prevention and capture was called hue and cry, where the witness to a crime would yell and get everyone else to come running and get him.
Oh, so then they just have lynchings.
Their entire plan for how to catch criminals was the Ghostbusters plan.
It is so hard to have a civilization, to have civil people, isn't it? Because it's like, on one hand, you got these shady cops that are working...
I don't know. Rick's been very civil this entire time.
You got these shady cops that are working for someone else and just doing crazy, awful things. And then you're like, oh, but without the cops, there's no fucking due process. How do you keep the human race moving forward, Mr. Slaton? What's your ideas?
In the absence of any official person to capture the criminal,
thank you for that.
The Crown issued a royal proclamation offering a kingdom-wide reward of £200 for his capture, around $25,000 today.
Nice. Now we're talking.
Do this voice.
Which voice?
You're 200 pounds.
What's the line again?
200 pounds for the capture.
The Crown, in the absence of any official person to capture the criminal, the Crown issued a royal proclamation offering a kingdom-wide reward of £200, $25,000 for his capture.
Start with hear ye, please. Say
hear ye. The Crown offers a reward of £200 for the capture of this Dick.
Perfect. Go on.
I thought he had a plan of like, thank you. That was just fun. He was right, though. We needed to add a little animated part.
Director Rick.
We needed that. Director Rick.
With that on top of the already posted local rewards, Dick Turpin was now the most valuable target in Britain, which led to the world's biggest game of Where's Waldo?
Oh, where is he, indeed?
With Dick sightings popping up all over the country.
Oh, Dick sightings popping up all over the country? I like that one.
I knew you'd like that one.
There were Dick sightings popping up all over the country.
But those looking for Dick near London were out of luck.
I'm always looking for Dick near London. Yes, right?
He was already 180 miles north, staying at the Ferry House Inn in Bruff, East Riding of Yorkshire, under the name John Palmer.
Oh, Dick Palmer?
Dick Palmer, yeah.
Dude, Palmer, get it? Arnold?
Yeah.
The iced tea?
Oh, I thought you were saying
Lemonade?
Palmer as in like...
You can masturbate, you grab your dick?
I thought that's what you were saying, yeah.
No, we would never make a joke like that on the show.
I'd like to check into the Best Western in Leicester. Thank you. My name? Yes, it's Rosie Palm. And I'll be staying with my 5 cousins.
As John Palmer, Dick introduced himself to the locals as his down-on-his-luck butcher turned horse trader. Within a few months, he made friends, even going on the occasional hunt with local gentlemen. But he needed money to fund his new life. Instead of actually being a horse trader or a butcher, he decided to travel to the neighboring county of Lincolnshire, steal sheep and horses,
Whoa, Lincolnshire. I love Lincoln.
and sell them in his new hometown.
They have the best sausages.
Even then, no one in County Yorkshire suspected a thing. Hey, what you doing there, bud?
Oh, I was just doing my own thing.
That's a lot of sheep you happen to have there.
Oh, I was just whistling, so.
Is that a whole dick of sheep you got?
I appreciate that, man. I'm just on my way. Have a nice evening.
That guy seemed totally normal and not weird at all.
Quite peculiar.
I mean, I didn't see anything wrong. That's a man I've never seen before with a dick of sheep.
All right, I'm convinced. Let's
and a
carry
whistler.
on. I'm convinced, yes.
But on October 2nd, 1738, Dick made a mistake.
Oh, bad Dickie.
Dude, sometimes dicks make mistakes, bro.
Right? That is the thing, dude.
After a long day of unsuccessful hunting, he retired to the inn for a few drinks. Once he was sufficiently sauced, he stumbled out of the pub and happened upon a gamecock,
What's that?
the type of rooster used in cockfights.
There's a lot of penis words in this story.
Odd, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Still angry from the failed hunt, Dick decided to take his frustration out on the cock.
Oh, did he beat up a fucking chicken just chilling by itself? That's just the weirdest form of weakness.
He pulled out his gun and shot it in the middle of the street.
Oh, God.
The owner of the
I eat chicken all the time, but I never the idea of just walking around just shooting a chicken that's just walking around is just kind of weird.
But they're dangerous.
Are they?
I mean, it's a fighting cock.
Is it dangerous to people or just to other cocks?
Dangerous to everybody.
Really? Oh,
That's why they outlawed cockfighting is not because of cruelty to animals, but because of danger to humans.
We are in danger of chickens?
Dude, have you ever seen what a chicken can do to a grown man? It's
Yeah. Satisfy
you
him
show
if
my
he
wife's
eats it.
cooking.
you see because she gave him salmonella. The owner of the
Is that
dead
where the
bird,
name Sal originated? Okay, go on with
the owner of the dead bird, understandably upset, confronted
Wife's
Dick.
cooking.
See that? Mm-hmm. It's 2 words,
Cocking.
and one of them is hyphenated, so it's almost 3. It's like 2. It's like 2 point
Yes.
2 point more. You know.
A 2 point more. A lot of math in this episode.
The owner of the dead bird confronted Dick. Rather than apologize, he threatened to kill the man as well.
I'll fucking kill you like I shot your cock. I'll shoot you in the wiener.
I'll shoot you in the dude.
Oh, yes, the dude.
Or the bro.
The
depending
brosif.
on- yeah.
I'll chop your brosif right off.
3 local
Your
justices.
little homeboy won't see the light of day tomorrow. No, your little fella friend.
3
That little social worker at your waist. He won't see another morning.
3 local justices were
The
called.
little taxpayer on your pelvis.
You got any
I'll
more?
kill him.
3 local justices were called to solve the matter: George Crowell, Hugh Bethel, and Marmaduke Constable.
I'll chop your little Marmaduke right off in front of your eyes.
I literally only put those 3 names in there because Marmaduke Constable made me giggle.
It is pretty funny. Marmaduke Constable, the new Disney movie.
He got into a lot of like weird. He's always like eating stuff he shouldn't have eaten, and coming inside with
like
him
my
on his
wife's
feet.
cooking.
Oh man! And do not invite me over, please.
Okay.
The justices took notes and statements on the case. That then ruled that Dick must pay a surety or bond to guarantee his good behavior.
Just say bond.
My wife's cocking, and then your wife's always walking around with one of those silicone guns. I'm like, oh, don't eat my wife's cocking, because then that bathtub will leak.
He refused, so they took him to jail where they began an interrogation. They asked Mr. Palmer how he made his money.
I'm a butcher. It's and it's eBay.
That sounds like the story checks out. Yes.
I do a little freelance work, not a big deal.
Yes, it checks out with me.
What's with all the sheep, though?
Yes, what is
That's
with all the
at
sheep?
least 14 dicks of sheep.
How many
And
dicks?
then he ran, and that's where they realized. Go on.
He then told him he was a butcher who had fallen into debt and now worked as a horse trader.
That's a fairly honest story, right? I mean, he left out all the crime stuff.
Then they
didn't-
asked where he was from, and he said the town of Long Sutton, Lincolnshire.
Okay, so now he's lying.
Now
right?
they're connecting. No, but Lincolnshire is nearby. But now that when they check into Lincolnshire, they're going to realize this is where all these animals have been missing from. This is the guy.
See how ahead of the game he is?
Well,
that's
he's
why,
a he's
that's
a
why he makes the
detective.
big bucks.
He's a detective.
Checking up on his story, the Yorkshire justices wrote to their counterparts in Long Sutton, who confirmed that yes, John Palmer had lived there and that he had escaped the custody of the local constable after being arrested on suspicion of horse and sheep theft.
Which is where it's like stealing horse and sheep come from.
Yeah. While shooting a cock was a minor offense, horse theft was a capital crime.
Well, really?
On October 16th, 1738, Dick was transferred to the York Castle jail to await trial. But luckily,
But
no one realized that the man in custody was the famed bandit Dick Turpin.
Why is that luckily? Why are you taking the side of this horrible person?
well, we are all. He's the star of the story. That's
So far, he's murdered a servant, which who cares, and a chicken, which, I mean, service to the people to protect us from the
and he
dangers
robbed
of
hot
cockfighters.
chicks.
Yeah, which, I mean, who's against that?
Me.
Really?
The only thing I'm going to rob from a hot chick is her evening.
I wish it was
That's not a robbery. That's a gift, though. You know what I'm saying?
If this
Come
was
on.
a
Very well.
If this was a video podcast, we could just put his number underneath it, like flashing, like an old school
I'd
commercial.
rather you just put up my handle or something.
dear.
Hey, swipe right on this guy, you know?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but don't swipe on the app because then you'll turn off the podcast.
I want anybody who's listening to this to rewind 10 seconds and hear the way he said, but it was exactly like a fast Porky Pig. Rewind it, please. But. I'm telling you, and then tweet me at Rick Glassman and write, nailed him, and I will retweet it.
By the way, Rick Glassman is spelled exactly how you would imagine. So if you're confused at all, just think of how you would spell Rick.
Yeah, if you were to do it, you'd say at Rick Glassman or at RickGlassman.
That's true. That is true. Because I'm an educator.
Got him.
Es verdad.
But Dick still had a dilemma.
Butt dick.
He was facing the death penalty and didn't want to blow his cover. He needed someone who would come and testify as a character witness on behalf of John Palmer while protecting his real identity.
Didn't want to blow his cover?
Mm-hmm.
That is seriously, he's in a tough spot now. Now he's trying to fucking stay hidden. He's trying to.
Would you say that Dick is between a rock and a hard place?
Oh, dude, well, I'd say the dick is
Trying not
a
to
hard
blow
place.
his cover?
Woo!
Yeah.
So he wrote a letter to his brother-in-law, a man named Pomper Rivenall.
Pumper?
Pomper Rivenall.
Pomper.
P-O-M-P-R.
Let's just call him Pumper since we got so many dick things in here.
Pomper Rivenall.
Pumper Rivernall.
But he failed to put on enough postage.
I just.
Jesus, that is pathetic. After he's trying to avoid the death penalty here. Put a fucking extra stamp on, huh?
When Pomper
Before the
arrived...
forever stamp.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah, it'd be another few hundred years before that came around, and then I didn't buy enough of them.
What do you think the stamps look like in those days?
Now they're 50 cents a piece, and it's
No,
like
they're not.
they're 50 cents a piece now.
Are they really?
It was 45 with the first ever stamp, and now it's 50.
Yeah, why don't we buy an options and stamps?
That's most of my investment plan from this point forward.
No, it's but seriously, that's a 12% jump.
yeah.
I mean, that's
a mathematical certainty.
but you have to there's not that big of a market for it. The liquidity isn't strong is where the problem is.
Yeah, that's
I can't go out and just sell my stamp. Even the post office isn't going nuts on stamp selling.
There's like 30 or 40 people that still mail stuff, so it's not lucrative.
I mean, the stickers that we send out make up about 72% of the U.S. Postal Service's.
Exactly.
You guys are
stuff
doing
right now.
well.
Thank you,
I'm about to retweet a lot of people that said gotcha.
Bro, we crush.
We bought a lot of stamps.
So he fails to put on enough postage. When Pomper arrived at the local post office to receive the letter, he examined the envelope, saw the post stamp from York, and refused to pay the extra delivery fee as he, quote, had no correspondent at York.
Please tell me these guys merge like the Fly kind of thing, and then they turn into a guy named Dick Pumper.
There is some historical debate as to why Pomper rejected the letter. Some say he was simply cheap and didn't want to pay.
Also known as a non-sword noser.
There you go.
Yeah.
Others claim that he recognized the handwriting and didn't want to deal with his sister's delinquent brother. Others say he was scared to open the letter as Dick's father had recently done a stint in jail over one of Dick's horse thefts and was only released because he helped stop a jailbreak.
So he was just afraid that he was going to get involved in some crime right there.
Those are three possibilities. Either
What did
he's
he
cheap.
need? What did he need with this letter again?
Dick is trying to get someone who will come and testify as to the character of John Palmer without letting everybody know that he's really Dick Turpin.
Right.
Whatever the reason, the letter was returned to sender, so it made its way back to the postmaster's office in Essex, where it landed on the desk of a man named James Smith.
Who very much knew about who he was.
As fate would have it, Smith just so happened to be from the village of Hempstead.
Yep.
More precisely, he was the man who taught young Dick Turpin how to read and write. Recognizing the handwriting, he took the letter and his suspicions.
Recognizing the handwriting. Here's where I'm calling gobbledygook. Dude.
Gobbledygook?
This guy remembers from 35 years ago the handwriting of some dude that he taught. And if he teaches reading and writing, he taught so many people.
But in the old days,
Well, so historians take 2 points of view on this. One is the story he gave, which he recognized the handwriting. Number 2 is that he knew that he had never seen a letter come to Dick Turpin's brother-in-law from York before.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I never
And kind of put two and two together.
come to Dick Turpin's brother-in-law.
So there are a couple of different theories as to as to what kind of he took the letter and suspicions to the local magistrate. They opened the letter and read Dick / Palmer's explanation, Dick Palmer's explanation, that he was confined for horse theft and his plea for a character witness. Dick got a witness all right. James Smith traveled to York, where he fingered Dick as the famous bandit.
You put that in. You wrote that specifically. I just imagine someone with a greasy little pinky pointing into a urethra.
And collected his reward of 200 pounds. Despite having been exposed, Dick continued to insist that he was John Palmer all through the trial.
You don't understand. I'm John Palmer.
You know what's interesting is that if he gets tried as Dick, and that's how it ends, and that's what it is, we all take that as fact. But the truth is, there could be a misunderstanding, and history was written wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy is just, he shot a cock and he stole some horses, but it's not like he's robbing hot chicks.
Right?
Yeah, no one does that.
Right?
Despite having been exposed, Dick continued to insist he was John Palmer. When it became clear he was Turpin, he said that Palmer was his mother's maiden name. Since the British court system did not at the time recognize a right to legal representation, Dick was forced to represent himself.
Oh, great. He's going to be a fucking great lawyer.
He tried a variety of legal moves to buy him time. He claimed he didn't have enough time to prepare his case, that the proceedings should be delayed so he could call witnesses, and requested a change of venue back to his hometown. These requests were all denied. While there was a complete lack of evidence that he had in fact stolen the horses, his exposed identity as the famous Dick Turpin was enough for the jury to convict without even leaving the courtroom.
Oh, Jesus.
On March 22nd, 1739, the judge sentenced him to death.
Oh, we knew it. They don't ever let these people just let them do a little time.
Dick spent 2 weeks in jail awaiting his execution. He received enough visitors that the jailer reportedly made over £100 by selling drinks to Dick and his guests.
Oh, hilarious. The jailer? The jailer's like,
Reportedly, many of the guests were women who were interested in this notorious criminal.
Really? Dude. This is the old days, and they were like, I'd like to meet him. Maybe I'll change him. I'm getting a little slimy thinking about him.
They want that danger Dick.
Ooh, slippery on the chairs.
If the numbers seem high, it might be because Dick, being about to die, seemingly had no need for his remaining cash.
Dick's about to die.
He spent a pretty penny on his final outfit, clothes made of expensive fustian cloth and a pair of pumps.
What a weird thing to do. You're about to die. You're like, I guess I'll get fitted for a new blazer, maybe some new tennies.
Well, you want to look dope when you die, bro.
I guess so. I've never really thought about how important it is to look dope when you die.
His last bit of cash, £3 and 10 shillings, was used to hire 5 mourners to follow him to the gallows and wail upon his death.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why? Did he have a religious belief? Like if he didn't have someone
You never
wailing?
been paid to be sad about someone's death before?
No. I've inadvertently been sad about stuff I've been paid for.
How do you think I avoid all the purple shirts? The purple's an expensive color to buy.
I wish we could make money. Well, actually, no. I don't think I'd be happy if I was a career guy that had to go to funerals. That's pretty depressing. I always wonder how those Mexican guys are, the ones that lower you into the hole in California. You know? Like every day they're just lowering dead people in and just watching people grieve, and they're all friendly and they're just like, hi, and they kind of get out of the way after they shovel and then they go to the next grave. You know what I mean?
On April 7th, 1739.
Just weeks before Hitler's birthday and the day where we smoke a bunch of weed for reggae on the river.
Dick Turpin, followed by his hired sad people, was taken by cart through the city to the racecourse where he was to be hanged. He bowed and waved to spectators who gathered along the procession route.
Hello, my fans.
When they arrived, Dick climbed the gallows and sat at the top for half an hour talking with the guards and the executioner.
Oh, my God.
Because the executioner was an old buddy of his and former partner in crime.
So, what have you been up to lately?
Oof.
Just getting arrested and, facing the death penalty. What about you? Oh, hanging people. I got out of crime.
At the time, York had no permanent hangman, so the custom was to pardon a prisoner on the condition that he performed the duty.
But we'll give you a peppermint
Say that again?
The York had no permanent hangman at the time, so what they would do was take a low-level criminal and offer them a pardon to be the executioner. In the end, that was entirely unnecessary. After a short chat, Dick did the job himself.
Oh, really? He's dying?
Jumping off the top of the gallows on his own.
Oh, fuck.
What
he couldn't wait. He's like, I can't fucking wait anymore. I'll
This
just do it
conversation
myself.
is so boring. I know that we're acquaintances, not friends.
Yeah, he's like, the guy's like,
I don't really care what you've been doing those last 20 years.
The other guy's trying to make conversation. What are you doing on Thursday? Fuck. And he just jumps.
Yeah, no,
Snap.
What some describe as an act of bravery might have been an act of self-preservation. English gallows at the time used the short drop method, meaning the rope was not long enough for the fall to break his neck.
Oh, fuck that.
Men
That's
would often
cruel.
remain at the end of the rope for minutes before succumbing to strangulation.
Fuck that.
Alas, Dick's technique did not work. He twisted at the end of the rope for 5 minutes before he stopped moving. Just to be sure, his body was left hanging until late that afternoon when it was cut down and stored at a tavern. The next morning, Dick's body was buried at St. George's Church, but the following week, it was stolen by body snatchers. This was a common occurrence, as medical researchers paid well for fresh subjects. But in this case, the public wasn't having it. A mob tracked down the thieves and returned the body to the church,
Give us our dick back! Give us our dick back!
where it was covered with quicklime and reburied where it supposedly still lies today.
That's our dick! That's our dick!
I say supposedly for two reasons.
Why? What did the...
First, some people think the body was not actually returned to St. George's, but was switched out to so someone could have the famous bandit's corpse.
The other one, which I actually do know, is that it is believed that it wasn't actually him to begin with, and he was never killed.
Some believe that when John Turpin, his
He got away
father...
so much.
Here we go.
You see one dick.
Rick's a little ahead of the game here. Some people believe that when John Turpin, his father, was arrested for connection to the horse theft, that was in reality Dick himself, claiming to be John. They claimed that he not only reported the attempted jailbreak to prove himself a good man, but that he may have instigated it in the first place so he could rat it out. They claim the hanged man was nothing but an unfortunate imposter, and that the real Dick Turpin escaped to the north, where he ran an alehouse under the name Smith.
Will the real Dick Turpin please stand up?
And to tie it in where the resentment came from, running his alehouse was proven difficult for him, and had he just been taught some of the trade of innkeeping, he may have been able to run it a little smoother. My name is Rick Glassman. You have been listening to CRiiiME with a whole bunch of eyes. Tune in next week for the next episode with Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie talking about the movies and the thing around his neck.
I like how the improv trailed off at the end there, but that was genius.
Today's sources include Rogues of the Road by Tony Duke, Britannia.com, TodayIFoundOut.com, LocalHistories.org, and of course the evil robots at Wikipedia. That's the story of Dick Turpin. Rick Glassman, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Rick Glassman, Instagram, Twitter. RickGlassman.com to check out the series The Sixth Lead. And
check out that podcast, the first episode podcast with John DeWalt.
yeah, the first ep.
And we'll be linking that in the show notes, or we'll be putting that out when it comes out. From when he releases it, we'll retweet it, and you'll be hearing it from us.
That'll be great.
And you can find us on all the socials at CRiiiMEPod, at CRiiiMEPOD. Email the show, crimepodcast@gmail.com with all your questions, comments, story ideas, dick pics. Label those for Shefsky. By the way, thank you to the dude who sent the most recent education guide for Shefsky.
Can I tell you about this dick pic?
Oh,
so
man.
Slaton forwards me an email and it's a paragraph and it seems like it's very serious. And it's like, and I just wanted to give a tip. I know a lot of people have trouble, Shefsky has trouble remembering what's going on per the episodes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to give a little tip on how to do that. Or I'm just going to give a little tip.
And it was a lot of
tips. And you scroll down and if you're listening right now, dude, it was the funniest picture because it's a full silhouette. It's clearly a cock.
So I'm not going to blow up your spot by saying your name on here.
No.
If you want, let us know. We'll tell everyone that you sent us a glorious dick pic.
Your dick, it takes up the whole window. Like there's just a background with like a windowsill and like blinds, and it's just fucking hilarious. I showed my wife too. She laughed her ass off.
Excellent trap set and sprung, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for some good clit pics, but that was a good dick pitch.
Jump on the Patreon, get on that Sticker of the Month Club. Got some new stickers coming out that'll be pretty damn fun.
Oh, we're excited about those ones.
And we'll keep you posted on the next Crime Blog.
Try my wife's cooking.
Yeah, seriously. Rick's wife, try her chicken. She's great at it. Bye, robot.
Bye, guys. Don't commit any crimes. Be good.
Commit all the crimes so I can tell about them.